Camp, fish, and learn about Texas history at this historic state park. This is Goliad State Park and Historic Site. Located about 45 minutes southeast of San Antonio, Goliad, Texas tells the stories of Spanish, Mexican, and American cultures. And the park itself is home to one of the amazing mission structures you'll find in this part of Texas. To fully immerse yourself in the historical journey, Goliad State Park is really made up of 4 unique places that all serve to tell the story of Spain's occupation of this land, the mission systems, and the Texas Revolution from Mexico. At the park itself, you'll discover Mission Espiritu Santo, learn about Ignacio Zaragoza and visit his birthplace. Across the street, there's the El Camino Real Visitor Center, and on the other side of town, the Mission Nuestra, Senora del Rosario. One of the important aspects of the missions is the presidios that were built to protect them. And while not part of the Texas park system, Presidio La Bahia is just down the street and across the San Antonio River from the Espiritu Santo mission, and is a must-visit to learn even more. So grab your backpack, put on your hiking shoes, and let's go on another adventure. This is the Texas Trailhead. The Karankawa, the Tamik, and the Aranama tribes were indigenous to this section of Texas. So imagine their confusion when the French landed on Matagorda Bay and the subsequent Spanish expeditions to the area followed. The idea of the Spanish mission system in Texas was to convert these natives to Christianity and the Spanish way of life, but also to set up presidios to protect the land from the French. Now that's an absolutely quick version, so I highly recommend you learn more about the Spanish's influence and partnership, for good and bad, with the natives living here. The gem of the state park is definitely the Mission Nuestra, Senora del Espiritu Santo. While this mission and the Presidio were originally located closer to the Gulf Coast, it was moved to this site in 1749. The Presidio was strategically placed on the other side of the San Antonio River, just down the road. While the building itself is quite striking, framed under the blue sky, it wasn't always this way. Once the threat of the French in Texas subsided, Spain lost interest in these missions, and most of the missions were pretty much left in disrepair. The rocks that were here were pretty valuable to the locals, and so the limestone was taken to build some of the cities around this area. It wasn't until the CCC came in the 1930s that rebuilt these amazing missions that they pretty much regained their form like you see them today. By 1970, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department was able to rebuild the chapel and exhibits in the granary. The map of the grounds showcased different structures of mission life. There are plenty of sections that were never rebuilt, but you can still get a sense of the flow of human traffic on the property. Check out this section of what would have been the priest's quarters. The mission itself is defined by the rock wall that borders the grounds, but just on the outside of the wall, there is a trail that will wind through the dense foliage. The Aranama Trail is 0.25 miles and loops just above the San Antonio River. And as you go on to the nature trail, you'll be amazed by how many different types of landscapes there are. But one of the things that they have that you'll see is the Limestone Bluff. So the Limestone Bluff would have acted as like a quarry to build the mission that's here the first time and the second time when the CCC would have rebuilt it in the 1930s. There are sites here for RVers and tent campers, but if you're only here for the day, admission is $4 for adults and free for kids 12 and under. definitely recommend a full day here at Goliad State Park and Historic Site. Down the street and directly in front of the Presidio is an unassuming stucco building next to the parking lot. As you approach, you'll realize it is the second site of the park. This building tells the story of Ignacio Zaragoza. He was born at the Presidio in 1829 during Mexico's fight for independence with Spain, and ultimately grew up to be a general in Mexico's army to help win its independence from France on May 5, 1862. In Spanish, you'll say it as Cinco de Mayo. Just down the sidewalk from here, there's an amphitheater and a statue dedicated to Zaragoza. The Presidio La Bahia is considered one of the finest examples of a Spanish frontier fort. According to its website, it has participated in 6 national revolutions and wars for independence. Spanish, Mexican, and Texas soldiers all used its fortified walls for protection. Inside, you'll see a hallway dedicated to the story of this Presidio, the gift shop, and a small theater to learn more about this historic building. The Presidio's main purpose would have been to protect the mission, in this case the mission Espiritu Santo. And the location is strategic because where it lays, you can see the mission from the outside. A must visit while you're here is definitely the church. This chapel is one of the oldest churches in America and still an active parish. It has been used since the 1700s. Fannon's men were held here as captives before they faced their untimely massacre from Santa Anna. Admire the fresco done by Antonio Garcia behind the altar, and check out the statue of Our Lady of Loreto done by Lincoln Borglum. Because it's not part of the Texas Park site, you do have to pay separate admission, but there's plenty to see at the Presidio and just outside its walls. In 1836, 344 men, including an ill-prepared colonel named James Walker Fannin, were captured during the Battle of Colero Creek and ordered to be executed at the behest of Santa Anna. Fannin was part of the remaining 40 wounded soldiers who were taken to the Presidio. He watched his men be executed and was saved for last. Stephen Hardin's book Texian Iliad recounts the circumstances behind his death. Fannin made 3 requests. He wanted his possessions to be sent to his family, to save his face, and have a proper Christian burial. The Mexican soldiers ultimately stole his belongings. Fannin was indeed shot in the face, and there was no burial. He was burned along with the other soldiers that died before him. For those soldiers who were massacred and burned, a reminder of the bloodshed that was constant during the Texas Revolution. The missions were all linked on the historic El Camino Real trail system. At the El Camino Real Visitor Center, learn more about the trail and this cabin built by the Civilian Conservation Corps. Each room features information about why the trail is important and how it laid the groundwork for the mission system in Texas. In the main area, check out amazing photos and learn more about the CCC's work to restore the Spanish structures throughout the park. And finally, hop in your car and take a short drive to the outskirts of Goliad to visit Mission Nuestra Senora del Rosario. The Franciscans built this mission for the Karankawa tribe around 1754. But the natives were used to wandering the land and not staying in one place too long. So the mission was proved ineffective, and ultimately was just used for livestock, which was another large aspect of the mission systems. The mission was closed in 1792, but its legacy lives on. View it from a distance and learn more about the inhabitants and see what it may have looked like in its original form. The missions, the El Camino Real, and the Presidios all serve as chapters in Texas's storied history. These parks and churches offer a great way to learn about the different flags that fly over Texas, and Goliad is definitely an important reminder of it all. So next time you're looking for some history, travel on down to Goliad State Park and Historic Site and learn all about what it stands for. Thanks for coming along with me to Goliad State Park. Until next time, grab your backpack, put on your hiking shoes, and let's go on another adventure. This is the Texas Trailhead.